live from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast brought to you live from the National News Studios here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. I am Dishan Veerakon together with Dulanjali Anand.
A decline in the queues seen near filling stations island-wide. Laugh gas to be issued to the market from next week. The International Monetary Fund prepares to assist Sri Lanka. The Attorney General informs the Supreme Court an approval from a referendum should be sought to pass the 21st Amendment to the Constitution presented by the Samagi Janabalawegaya. Separate stances from the Samagi Janabalawegaya and the 43rd Brigade on the 21st Amendment. Russian forces are shelling 40 towns in the Donbass region.
And now starting off with your top story for tonight. Now reports have indicated a slight decline in the long queues prevailing near filling stations across the country. However, long queues can still be seen near filling stations in the Colombo district. Many long queues can be seen near many filling stations in Colombo. The issuance of fuel is being carried out through many filling stations in the Puttalam district at present. Police protection has also been provided for the filling stations. The issuance of fuel in Anuradhapura town and surrounding areas is being conducted without any interruptions. Reports have indicated a gradual decline of the long queues around the filling stations. Filling station owners in the Nurari district have claimed that a continuous fuel supply has not been ensured due to the unavailability of adequate quantities of fuel at the filling stations. It was revealed that certain entities are hoarding fuel, claiming them to be used for the necessities related to estates. The national television's correspondent in Polonnaruwa said that long queues in the district near filling stations have declined drastically. Filling stations in the district have continuously supplied fuel during the last 2 days. A special discussion was held yesterday to eliminate any obstructions to expedite the renewable energy projects and ensure an uninterrupted power supply. The meeting was held with the participation of Minister Kanchana Wijesekara. Relevant stakeholders were informed that approvals for already requested renewable energy projects will be granted. Litro Gas Company has said that another LP gas tanker is expected to arrive in the country tomorrow. Payments for 2 shipments have already been finalized. Meanwhile, necessary facilities to open letters of credit have been provided following the issuance of Laugh gas to the market. Accordingly, Laugh Gas Company has indicated that the domestic gas will be issued to the market by next week. Minister Kanchana Wijesekara has called on US Ambassador Julie Chung today. In a tweet, the minister has mentioned that prompt solutions for the existing energy crisis and related issues had been discussed with the US Ambassador. Sri Lanka is also expected to work closely with the United States in the energy sector. Minister Bandula Gunawardena said that public transport should be reorganized immediately as a solution for the existing fuel crisis. The minister made these remarks during a meeting held at the Sri Lanka Railway headquarters today. A special attention was directed on the negative impact of the existing fuel crisis on the daily activities of the public. The minister pointed out that steps should be taken to repair and include the unused compartments into railway services within a period of 1 month. The minister also pointed out that the number of train journeys should be increased and instructed the officials to take immediate steps to implement the reorganized program. Now, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa says discussions are underway in Parliament towards forming a national consensus on the way forward.
The President made these remarks addressing the 27th International Conference on the Future of Asia held in Tokyo, Japan, via a video call today. Japan's Nikkei newspaper has been organized. The has organized the conference annually since 1995. The theme of this year's two-day conference is Redefining Asia's Role in a Divided World. The Future of Asia is an international gathering where political, economic and academic leaders from the Asia-Pacific region offer their opinions frankly and freely on regional issues and the role of Asia in the world. The President pointed out that Sri Lanka is Asia's oldest democracy. It is crucial that the solutions to our present national crisis are supported through our nation's democratic framework.
The last several months have been extremely difficult for Sri Lanka. We are presently undergoing a severe economic crisis that has profoundly impacted the lives of all Sri Lankans, resulting in social unrest. The virtual shutting down of the tourism industry and the sharp decline in inward remittances from expatriate workers due to COVID-19 in the past 2 years, and increasing inflation due to other events combined with Sri Lanka's high outstanding debt obligations to cause a severe financial crisis. In April, Sri Lanka announced a debt standstill with the intention of restructuring this external public debt through negotiations with our creditors while simultaneously approaching the International Monetary Fund for a suitable program. In parallel to these efforts, we have appointed a new Prime Minister and a cabinet of ministers with representation from multiple political parties, and we are fostering ongoing discussions in Parliament towards forming a national consensus on the way forward. Sri Lanka is Asia's oldest democracy. It is crucial that the solutions to our present national crisis are supported through our nation's democratic framework. As we work through such solutions, however, we urgently require the assistance of our friends in the international community to ensure that our immediate needs in terms of the importation of essential medicines, food supply, and fuel are met. We are also in urgent need of bridging financing to restore confidence in our external sector and stabilize our economy until the debt restructuring process is completed and an IMF program commences. Sri Lanka is grateful for the support provided by India, our close friend and neighbor, which responded with generosity in our time of need. The support extended by our other neighbors and development partners, as well as regional and global institutions, is also deeply appreciated. Japan remains one of Sri Lanka's key development partners, and we hope that the negotiations now underway regarding bridging funds from Japan will conclude soon and support Sri Lanka as we try to stabilize our economy and our nation. I appeal to the other friends of Sri Lanka present here today to also explore the possibility of extending support and solidarity to my country at this very difficult time. A positive aspect of recent events in Sri Lanka has been the increased engagement of our youth in the nation's politics. We have seen similar activism in other countries too, where the loss of confidence in prevailing systems has led to strong displays of opposition against governments. It is important to ensure that these systems undergo the reforms that are essential to their improvement so that future generations will benefit from better opportunities in education and employment, leading to an increase in their productivity. An even more widespread problem that the world will face in future concerns food security. The shortages of food items and sharp increases in food prices likely to occur in the months ahead will place considerable strain on many countries. It is therefore essential that we pay attention to this crucial problem and prioritize agricultural production locally and improve our resilience in the face of this coming issue. Increased cooperation amongst nations will also be necessary to ensure that we overcome this issue. As Sri Lanka overcomes its present difficulties and starts rebuilding for tomorrow, we look forward to constructively participating in future such events too for the betterment of Asia.
The IMF chief, Kristalina Georgieva, says that the International Monetary Fund will strongly support Sri Lanka on its debt restructuring.
Now, she made these remarks while speaking to NDTV Network at the annual meeting of the World Economic Forum in Davos.
Question.
Now, Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi says that India will continue to stand with people of Sri Lanka. Addressing an event in Chennai, he said that as a close friend and a neighbor of Sri Lanka, India continues to provide financial support, food, medicine and other essential items to the country.
Sri Lanka is passing through difficult times. I'm sure you are concerned with the development there. As a close friend and neighbor, India is providing all possible support to Sri Lanka. This includes financial support, support of fuel, food, medicines, and other essential items. Many Indian organizations and individuals have sent assistance for their brothers and sisters in Sri Lanka, including Tamils in the north, in the east, and in the upcountry. India has also spoken strongly in international fora for extending economic support to Sri Lanka. India will continue to stand with the people of Sri Lanka and support democracy, stability, and economic recovery in Sri Lanka.
Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe says the government will slash its budget expenditure with the hope to post a primary surplus of 1% of its gross domestic product by 2025.
The Prime Minister expects the outcomes of the talks with the International Monetary Fund by mid-June. The Prime Minister made these remarks during an interview with the Bloomberg television network.
So what are the challenges that you will be having to face because of this key role that you will need to play as a finance minister, helming the IMF talks, the bailout?
I took part in the last round of IMF talks yesterday. The proposals they made were acceptable to me in principle. One issue was that the IMF wanted us to have a the primary budget should have a surplus of 2% by 2025. I felt, looking at the present situation, that 2023 will not be a good year for the economic development, that we had only 2024. I suggested that it should be somewhere from break even to about a surplus of 1%. So look in that range. I think that was the main issue that was there to be discussed. Of course, I told them, as far as the economic restructuring is concerned, that I wanted growth enhancing reforms and the transformation of this economy to an export oriented economy, giving a surplus on the balance of payments. One day we have to start repaying all the foreign debt we have, and if we don't start earning, we certainly will be getting into debt further and having another default. So we have to change our ways, we have to change our economic system.
Now you've talked about a budget also coming up. Yes. Would that be also sort of oriented towards this IMF program, needing to bring in tax hikes to bridge this deficit and move towards more of a surplus?
There will be tax hikes, we will bring it back, but the main idea of the budget is to cut expenditure to the bone, except in case of health services and education, and transfer that money to ensure that we can give more welfare assistance to a large number of people who have been affected by this economic crisis. It's difficult for people. I understand, I can feel the anger. Some of them are missing one meal. A lot of people who have come to the middle class feel they have been pulled down. People are without employment. Farmers are without fertilizer for two seasons. So I can understand that. So we have to somehow get out of this rut quickly.
We know what the sovereign bonds that are due, but the Chinese funds, how will that repayment and restructure work? How is China, warming to this?
No, we thought we'll talk with China once we finish the IMF discussions.
What is it that you're looking for? I mean, are you looking for a debt restructuring or I mean, what do you have in mind? What is it you're on?
No, we will have to ask them about the debt restructuring. But once wait for this to come in and then see whether we can get any bridging finance. Those are issues to be raised with the Chinese, like we have to raise with the Europeans and others.
Also, it's similar to what the ADB and when the World Bank said today that a reform needs to be in place for fresh funding.
Yeah.
So do you feel that even Chinese rescheduling, repayments will also balance on what you present to IMF and getting through
that's
that?
What we want to, because finally they all have to sit together and work it out. We can only press from outside, whether it's Japan or China or anyone else.
And what sort of repayments do we have to China? Are we in a sort of a debt trap to China?
We are not in a debt trap. Actually, the percentage of loans by Japan and China are the same, except that the Chinese interest rates are higher.
Now, the Attorney General informed the Supreme Court today that the approval from a referendum should be sought to pass the 21st Amendment to the Constitution presented to the Parliament by the Samagi Janabalawegya. Representing the Attorney General, Solicitor General Indika Demuni de Silva informed the court that certain provisions cited in the draft bills of the 21st and the 22nd Amendments to the Constitution presented to the Parliament by General Secretary of the Samagi Janabalawegya, Ranjit Madhavandara and Minister Vijay Dasa Rajapaksa as private member bills are inconsistent to the Constitution. The petitions filed seeking a court order citing the necessity of a two-third parliamentary majority and an approval from a referendum to pass the relevant draft amendments were taken up for hearing today. The Solicitor General informed the court that the Attorney General has already informed the Speaker in this regard. The petitions were taken up for hearing before a three-member Supreme Court judge panel, including Chief Justice Jayantha Jayasuriya, Janak De Silva and Arjuna Obesekara. The attorney representing the petitioner, Colonel Anil Samrasekara, informed the court that the proposed draft amendment empower the Prime Minister with the executive powers vested with the President, which pose a severe danger. The attorney pointed out that in an instance, if a nationalist MP who was not elected by the people becomes the Prime Minister, then such a move would not reflect on the people's mandate, hence violating the sections 3 and 4 of the Constitution in empowering the executive powers of the President to such an individual. Deputy Solicitor General informed the court that Minister Vijay Dasa Rajapaksa had withdrawn the draft 22nd Constitution Amendment, which was included into the Parliamentary Order Book as a private member motion to limit the powers vested with the executive presidency. The case was postponed until tomorrow for further hearing. Now, the Criminal Investigation Department has recorded a statement from former Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa over the series of incidents that occurred following the meeting held at the Temple Trees and subsequently to the assaults carried out in Kolupitiya and Golface Green on May the 9th.
The police have indicated that the statement of the former Prime Minister was recorded for nearly 5 hours on the 24th. Meanwhile, 2 other suspects have been taken into custody over the alleged murder of MP Amarakirti Atukorala and his security officer. Police media spokesman SSP Nihal Talduwa said that 14 suspects have been arrested by the police thus far. He said that it has been revealed that the 2 suspects taken into custody have violently assaulted the driver of the vehicle of the MP. He added that the suspects had also purchased goods worth 250,000 rupees from the ATM card belonging to the wife of the driver. He also added that these 2 suspects had used and purchased goods to buy illegal drugs as well. The police spokesman said that 1,878 suspects have been taken into custody over the series of incidents thus far.
General Shavendra Silva is set to assume office on June the 1st as new Chief of Defence Staff after relinquishing the office of the Commander of the Army on May the 31st. General Shavendra Silva was serving as Acting Chief of Defence Staff at the time he was appointed to this new office. Meanwhile, the incumbent Chief of Staff, Major General Vikumliyanage, will be appointed as the new Commander of the Army with effect from June the 1st after relinquishment of his office as the Chief of Staff.
Now, the United Nations General Assembly adopts Sri Lanka's sponsored resolution to declare March 1st as World Seagrass Day.
Now, the resolution was adopted by consensus and co-sponsored by 24 countries. Seagrasses are one of the most valuable marine ecosystems on Earth, covering around 300,000 square kilometers in 159 countries and 6 continents. They provide a range of critical environmental, economic and social benefits. The most significant benefit being the enormous carbon sequestration potential of seagrass, storing up to 18% of the world's oceanic carbon, which is greater than that of rainforests, which makes protection and restoration of seagrass a vital tool in efforts to adapt and mitigate the adverse effects of climate change. Permanent representative of Sri Lanka to the UN Ambassador Mohan Piris introduced a resolution, integrated and coordinated implementation of and follow-up to the outcomes of the major United Nations conferences and summits in the economic, social and related fields.
Sri Lanka is pleased to submit the draft resolution entitled World Seagrass Day, contained in document A/76/L56 for the consideration of this August Assembly under Agenda Item 15, integrated and coordinated implementation of and follow-up to the outcomes of the major United Nations conferences and summits in the economic, social and related fields. The United Nations Environmental Programme publication Out of the Blue, in which the value of seagrasses to the environment and to people states that 7% of seagrass marine habitat is being lost worldwide per year, which is equivalent to a football field of seagrass lost every 30 minutes. Mr. President, therefore, my delegation is pleased to take this small step forward towards the preservation of dealing with climate change, along with the other member states of the United Nations, in adopting this resolution to declare the 1st of March as World Seagrass Day. We expect that this small but significant step would help raise the level of awareness needed to conserve and restore seagrass ecosystems, which are an integral part to our march forward in realizing the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. We reiterate our appreciation to all co-sponsors, as well as all delegations engaged with us during the informal consultations in arriving at a consensus on this resolution.
Now, the Samagijata Balavegaya parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala says the draft bill of the 21st constitutional amendment has been provided to his party without the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers.
Now, he made these remarks during a media briefing held in Colombo today. MP Lakshman Kiriyala said that the President, during his address to the nation on May 11th, said that the 19th Amendment will be enacted and measures will be initiated to abolish the executive presidency. However, he said that according to the 21st Constitutional Amendment draft bill, there is no mention of the 19th Amendment or the abolishment of the executive presidency. He added that one of the sections of the draft bill presented by the Justice Minister has indicated that the President has the power to take over ministries, which was not cited in the 19th Amendment. He also said that the Justice Minister had claimed that the draft bill was presented to the Cabinet. However, it was not approved. He inquired over the problematic concern related to the submission of an unapproved draft bill to other political parties. He pointed out that the government should indicate their stance over this draft bill. Now, former MP Karunaratne Paranavithana mentioned that the 43rd Brigade has principally agreed to the 21st Constitutional Amendment.
This was revealed during a media briefing held in Colombo today. Former MP Karunaratne Paranavithana said that primarily they expect, similar to the 19th Amendment, the powers of the President to be limited and the formation of independent commissions. He added they would accept this amendment as a positive move.
මේ සංශෝධනයේ හරය හොඳයි. මේ සංශෝධන දියාරු කරන්නේ නැතිව උඩින් දීපුවා මේසේ උඩින් දීපුවා යටින් ඇදලා ගන්නේ නැතුව එනවනම් අපි මේක තාම සාධනීය දෙයක් හැටියට අපි බාර ගන්න. ප්‍රතිපත්තිමය වශයෙන් අපි මේකට පක්ෂයි සහයෝගය දෙනවා කියන එක අපි කියන්න කැමතියි. ඒ වගේම අපි දන්නවා මේ පොහොට්ටු පක්ෂයේ පොජන පෙරමුණේ മന്ത്രിවරු ගොඩක් දැන් අවබෝධයකට ඇවිල්ලා. ඊළඟට තව අය පුදුමාකාර විදිහට මේකට විරුද්ධ වෙනවා. මේකෙන් මේ විධායක ජනාධිපති ක්‍රමය අවශ්‍ය කරන්නේ නැහැ. ඒ නිසා අපිට මේකට එකතු වෙන්න බෑ කියන අදහසක්.
Now, Sri Lanka Freedom Party parliamentarian group convened today to submit views, opinions and suggestions over the 21st Constitutional Amendment.
Now, this meeting was presided over by former President Maithripala Sirisena. The meeting was held at the SLFP headquarters. A decision was reached to submit the opinions and suggestions of the party at the all-party meeting scheduled tomorrow to further strengthen the 21st Amendment. Minister Nimal Siripal de Silva said that lengthy discussions were held over the draft bill of the 21st Constitutional Amendment. Accordingly, he said that a decision was reached to agree with the draft bill and many proposals were discussed to further strengthen the amendment. He added that these proposals will be presented at the all-party meeting.
මේදී ඒ කරුණු අපි ඉදිරිපත් කරනවා විශේෂයෙන්ම මේ 21 වෙනි සංශෝධනය කාලීන අවශ්‍යතාවයක් උද්ඝෝෂණවල යෙදෙන අයත් සිවිල් සංවිධාන වෘත්තීය සංවිධාන නීතිඥ සංවිධානය කියන මේ සංවිධාන සියල්ලම ඉල්ලා සිටින ඉතාමත්ව වැදගත් වූ සංශෝධනයක්.
Former President Maithripala Sirisena said that necessary proposals will be presented at the meeting which are to be included in order to pass the amendment.
The representatives of the independent 10-party coalition met with Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe today to discuss over the 21st Amendment. The meeting was held at the Prime Minister's office. Leaders of coalition made remarks prior to the meeting. MP Uday Gamanpila said that the coalition is expected to propose suggestions and revisions to the amendment during the meeting with Prime Minister. He added that the coalition's support will be extended for the 21st Amendment based on the agreement on the proposed suggestions. Now, Janata Vimukti Peramana says the people in the country should urge for an election at this juncture.
Now, Politburo member of the JVP Lal Kanta made these remarks during a meeting held in Anuradhapura yesterday. Politburo member of the JVP, Lal Kanta, pointed out the importance in forming a fraud and corruption-free governance. Accordingly, he said that the parliament should be dissolved and proceed for an election. He said that the people should urge for an election to ensure political stability in the country.
The National Dengue Control Unit's Dr. Nimalka Panneli Hetty says that the number of dengue patients recorded in a week has exceeded the 1,500 mark at present.
Now, she pointed out a rise in the death toll compared to the previous year has been observed. Now, the main cause in this regard has been identified as the delays in hospitalizations. A total of 22,800 dengue patients have been reported in the country thus far. The majority of the patients have been identified from Colombo, Gampaha, Kandy, Gaul, Mathura, Jaffna, Trincomalee and the Batticaloa districts. 46% of the patients have been reported from the Western Province. The categories 2 and 3 of the dengue virus are detected mostly at present. If an individual shows the signs of the dengue virus, then the National Dengue Control Unit urges public to hospitalize the patient immediately. Now today is the 48th day of the people's protest underway in front of the Presidential Secretariat in Galface Green.
Large crowds from various parts of the country were seen arriving to the protest site last night as well. More crowds were seen at the protest last night engaging in demonstrations. Many programs including theatre, musical, workshops and various activities were organized yesterday and today. The protest in front of the temple trees was underway today for the 14th day. A large crowd of people were also seen at the protest site. The protesters engaged in a protest march to the Prime Minister's office this evening. The crowds dispersed after the police handed over a court order regarding the protest march.
Well, that's a wrap of tonight's Primetime News Bulletin here at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation. And until we meet again next time, do take care, stay safe and good night.